All right, let's jump straight into this explainer today, because honestly, I want to hold a mirror up to a really frustrating cycle that you might find very, very familiar. Look, if you're going out of your way to consume content like this, you're obviously highly motivated, right? You want to build wealth, you want to change your financial trajectory, and you're trying to learn everything you possibly can. But there is a massive, massive trap hidden in all of that well-intentioned learning. It's something called the execution gap.
So you've watched the videos, you've made the plans, but why hasn't anything actually changed? It's a tough question to face, isn't it? You've probably consumed literally hundreds of hours of content about making money by now. You've taken meticulous notes, you've bookmarked all the links, you've mapped out these brilliant business plans. And yet, if you were to check your bank account today, it probably looks exactly the same as it did 6 months ago. Heck, maybe it's even a little worse. Now, I want to validate something right out of the gate here. You are not lazy, you're not stupid, and you certainly aren't just unlucky. You are simply stuck in one of the absolute most dangerous digital traps that exist today.
Let me paint a picture for you that perfectly captures this trap. I like to call it the Sunday night spiral. Okay, so it's Sunday night, you open up your favorite app and search how to make money. You start by watching a highly produced video on drop shipping. Then you pivot over to real estate, then maybe a little crypto, and suddenly you're 3 hours deep into freelance copywriting. You have all these brilliant, potentially life-changing avenues laid out right in front of you, and what do you actually do? You close the app, tell yourself, all right, I'll start tomorrow, and you go to sleep. Monday hits, life gets busy, and before you know it, you're right back in the exact same spot the very next Sunday.
So the really crucial point here is that this cycle has a very specific name. We call it analysis paralysis. Basically, it's a perpetual learning loop where the very act of consuming information actively prevents you from taking any real action. And I want to be crystal clear about this. It is absolutely not a lack of information that is keeping you broke. I mean, the internet has given you access to more financial knowledge right now than any millionaire had 20 years ago. The problem isn't what you know, it's what you are failing to do with what you know. This is a silent financial destroyer, mainly because it perfectly masquerades as productivity.
Here's the crazy part. The hard truth is that your brain is actively working against you here. When you sit back and watch a video about making money, your brain releases dopamine. You know, that wonderful, addictive, feel-good chemical. Watching, planning, researching, it all feels like progress. It feels like you're doing actual, tangible work. But the dopamine hit you get from watching a video about wealth is almost biologically identical to the dopamine hit from actually building wealth in the real world. The huge danger here? One of these is real progress, and the other is just a very comforting illusion.
I really want to let this biological quirk sink in for a second. Your brain literally cannot tell the difference between consuming information and taking action. And because of this, you just keep consuming, you keep learning, you keep tweaking that perfect business plan over and over. And because your brain feels entirely satisfied and productive doing that, you just stay stuck exactly where you are. Learning feels incredible for sure, but right now it is just an illusion keeping you safely anchored in your comfort zone.
Section 1. The proof. Executing the obvious idea. So, here is the great secret about the people who are actually out there building wealth. They are not smarter than you. They really aren't. They don't have magically better ideas. They didn't stumble upon some secret hidden strategy that you missed. They just stopped searching for the perfect path and started walking down the obvious one. Take Marcus, for example. Marcus was in his mid-30s working a standard 9-to-5 job. For 4 long years, he studied business. I mean, he had notebooks overflowing with ideas, hard drives completely packed with unfinished online courses. He was always just about 6 months away from being ready. Because every single time he got close to launching, he'd find a flaw. You know, the idea was too risky, or it was too competitive, or it just wasn't passive enough. But then a friend asked him one profoundly simple question. Marcus, what can you actually do right now with what you already have? That one question broke the loop. See, Marcus was an accountant, so he sent just 5 emails to local business owners that week. He got 2 responses, and he signed his very first client within 30 days. Fast forward 6 months, he had completely replaced his 9-to-5 salary.
He didn't find the perfect idea. He executed the obvious one. Notice how Marcus didn't need a groundbreaking, never-before-seen tech startup concept? He just needed to apply his existing practical accounting skills to local business owners who were already struggling with their books. He knew the skill, he knew the market, and he knew the exact problem that desperately needed solving. He didn't need a new idea, he just desperately needed to stop looking for a better one.
Section 2. The Blueprint, a 3-step action framework.
So how exactly do we replicate that kind of breakthrough? Well, here is your overarching blueprint.
It's built on 3 highly actionable steps. Step 1, the one idea rule. Step 2, define the smallest first action. And step 3, cut the information diet. Listen, this isn't a theoretical exercise anymore. If you genuinely want to change your financial trajectory, this framework absolutely needs to become your new operating system. It demands action over perfection.
All right, let's break these down. Step 1 is the one idea rule. And your magic number here? It's 30. You must pick one single idea, write it down, and commit to it for 30 days before you even entertain the thought of pivoting to something else. Not 2 ideas, not 3, just 1. Look, the reason most people never build anything of value is because they abandon ship the very moment they hit friction. But hitting resistance isn't a sign that your idea is wrong or that you should just quit. Resistance is simply the price of entry. Every business, every investment gets hard before it gets good. 30 days on one idea. That is completely non-negotiable. Moving on to step 2, define the absolute smallest possible first action. If you want to freelance, your action is to reach out to one single person today. If you want to start a channel, record one rough video this week. Want to invest? Open a brokerage account before your head hits the pillow tonight. Notice what is not on this list? Write a 50-page business plan or design the perfect logo. No, momentum isn't something you magically find waiting for you. It is something you actively build through the absolute smallest, most basic action that proves to yourself that you're finally taking this seriously. Now, step 3 is a bit brutal, but it's totally necessary. Cut the info diet. For the next 30 days, you need to operate on an 85-15 split. For every 10 minutes of learning you allow yourself, you owe 60 minutes of pure execution. You have got to flip the script entirely so that doing becomes your default mode, and learning is strictly a targeted supplement for whatever immediate action you are taking next. Like, seriously, do not sit there and watch 5 videos on advanced dropshipping logistics if you haven't even registered a basic store yet. And that brings us to a really hard truth that I want you to remember every single time you open up a new tutorial. Learning without action is just entertainment. It's a tough pill to swallow, I know, but it is reality. Watching endless investing or business content without taking actual tangible steps in the real world is merely entertainment. It might feel incredibly educational in the moment, but entertainment will never, ever build wealth for you.
Section 3. The price of stagnation.
If we really peel back the layers of all this endless planning and learning, the core reason you stay stuck in this loop is, well, it's fear. Taking action means taking a risk. And taking risk means you might actually fail. And for most people, failure feels infinitely more dangerous than stagnation. But we need a reality check here. Stagnation is not safe. It only feels safe. Every single year you wait around to be perfectly ready is a year of compounding growth and knowledge that you can never get back. While you're safely sitting on the couch researching your perfect, flawless idea, your competition is out there in the real market. They're messing up, they're learning, and they are gaining real-world experience with those obvious ideas. Time is the one resource you cannot earn back, and the cost of doing nothing is infinitely higher than the cost of launching an imperfect idea.
Which brings me to one final provocative question for you. What is the single smallest action you can take in the next 24 hours? Because the difference between the person who actually builds wealth and the person who just watches content about it is not intelligence, it's not raw talent, it's not even perfect timing. It is commitment. It is the simple decision to execute an imperfect idea patiently and consistently without waiting to magically feel ready. So here is my challenge to you. When this explainer ends, please do not click on another piece of content. Open a blank page, write down your most obvious idea, and take one tiny, imperfect action right now to prove you are finally ready to build. Make that decision today.